today is the day. I'm not pulling it all the way out, but I've got 2 hours before I have to get ready for some dinner plans. So I'm gonna time myself and see how far I can get. Before we can pull the engine out, there's a few things that need to come out. Obviously, like the battery. I'm gonna pull the radiator, take the fan off, pull the accessories off, which is just the alternator in this case, pulling the intake off, removing some of the hoses, removing our ignition coils, our crank and cam angle sensor where the distributor would normally go, remove the fuel pressure regulator right back in there somewhere. So I'm gonna see if I can get all of that off today. I think it'd be really nice if I can get all of the more like detailed fiddly pieces off in one shot. Then spend a day out here where I'm just doing the heavy lifting of unbolting the engine from the transmission, lifting it out. At that point, I'm probably gonna have to take the hood off too. Maybe even this front core support for the radiator. We'll see. I don't know why. Like removing body parts is always something that I'm not real fond of, just because then you have to put it back on and align it and all that. But something's gonna have to go for it to come all the way out. It's probably gonna be the hood. As things come off, they're gonna go into these boxes so that I can keep track of everything. I don't know if might try and just fill one box and then move to the other, or use one for a certain type of part. I don't know, we'll see. We'll just kind of see how it goes. I've had the new engine patiently waiting back here. I'm pretty excited to see it in the engine bay. I think it's gonna look really clean and cool. If you haven't seen the other videos yet, I haven't done a whole lot with the Volvo, but I've got a number of videos replacing the blower motor, fixing the gauge cluster, that sort of thing, cruising it around. Last week, there was actually 2 videos that came out, one with fixing the gauge cluster and then a little mini video of just going out for one last cruise before we take this apart. So 2 hours starts now. We've got 3 o'clock, that's when we need to wrap up. I think I'm gonna try and be methodical about this and see if I can remove pieces in bulk, like try and remove the entire intake manifold with the throttle bodies and air cleaner and all of that on there. Some stuff's gonna have to come apart. But the more condensed packages I can do, the faster this will go. So one of the things that's really fighting me is I can't pull these off because they hit the exhaust manifold. If I try and go straight there, and I want to leave them connected, but I'm starting to wonder if I can even do that. I might need to take them apart so I can kind of twist them, but I'm going to try loosening the exhaust manifold and seeing if I can just kind of pull it all out together. right, so I got everything removed from the passenger side, the exhaust manifold, the intake manifold, all of the fuel lines and fuel regulator, alternators out. So now I think we can start working on the driver's side, getting all the ignition stuff. And then we still have the radiator, kind of waiting on that, just because it's probably gonna be a big mess. This part is from a company called Yoshi Fab. They make aftermarket fuel injection pieces for Volvo B20s, some of the newer 240 engines also. So this is what allows me to mount that Mitsubishi cam and crank angle sensor in place of where the distributor used to go. All right, we are about an hour and a half in, actually exactly an hour and a half in. We've got the intake manifold and the exhaust manifold off, all the fuel stuff undone over here, the alternator out, the wiring gone. We've got the ignition coils removed and the bracket on this side. Got the crank and cam angle sensor that mounts where the distributor would go, has been removed. The starter wires are removed. Any other little coolant temp sensor and that sort of thing's unplugged. So I think really the last thing is drain the radiator. That'll let me undo the heater hoses. And then I think that's it. Well, that might be the best timing. I'm even early. 7 minutes early? 7 minutes early. Look at that. We've got everything off the engine. We've got the radiator out, the coolant's draining, heater hoses are off. We've got all the fuel injection stuff off. All that's left is unbolting it from the transmission and unbolting the engine mounts, and it's out of here. But that's gonna be for another day. If you like watching what I'm doing, please subscribe. Always open to any sort of comments, good, bad, suggestions, things you like, projects that you have going on. Comment below, let me know what's going on. I'm hoping next time we meet, we'll be pulling the engine out. I've got to pull the engine, then I've got to move some accessories off of it, get it ready to put on the new engine. I'm really excited to get that in there. I've been working on that all year pretty much. Started it early spring, It's been together as it is for a couple months, so it's really just waiting to go in. But when this engine comes out, I'm gonna do a little bit more cleaning of the engine bay. There's some things I'm gonna redo and clean up and just remove unnecessary things. I want this engine bay to look pretty tidy. It's not a show car. There's, you know, little paint blemishes and little cracks. And I mean, it's a 51, almost 52-year-old car. So not going for perfect, but I want someone to see the engine bay and recognize that someone has taken a lot of care. I'm even all cleaned up. That's it for the week.